Hey, it's the Cooking Dude. Welcome to this week's episode. Hope you guys learned something new. Now, let's get in the kitchen. And here we are once again, brand new episode. Today's episode, we're going to be doing pasta sauce and pasta. So let's go ahead and get all our tools and our ingredients ready. And here we go. Here's your ingredients on the left there. Go ahead, pause, grab whatever it is you need, and we're going to get this started. So, we got onions, we got celery, we got carrots, we got garlic, a can of crushed tomatoes, preferably with basil, dried oregano, dried basil, fennel seeds, salt, pepper, olive oil. Later on, we're going to be throwing in some mushrooms. We're going to have some beef broth and optional tomato paste, then naturally pasta. All right, so first up, just want to say, here we're going to get our mirepoix ready, or as Italians call it, sofrito. This is not absolutely necessary, but is a good solid base for you to work with. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and we're going to chop these up, get them nice chunky dice. I'm making a very chunky sauce because the pasta that I'm going to be using works best when your sauce is chunky. It holds the ingredients very well, but nonetheless, if you want a finer sauce, by all means, chop everything smaller, finer, to your preference. And if you're getting store-bought pasta, go ahead and go to this time here. There's no shame in that. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. Go to the store, buy some. I don't care. But nonetheless, chopping our tomatoes here for those of you sticking around for the homemade sauce. Go ahead, put that aside in a bowl. The cuteness is strong in that one. And then here we're going to go ahead and chop our celery. And if my celery looks kind of weird and watery, it's because it is frozen. I buy celery and carrots in bulk, and I keep them frozen because I use them primarily in soups and stews and stocks, and occasionally pasta sauces. It works just fine. But if you like it fresh, go ahead, buy it fresh. Eat it fresh. Fresh is sometimes better. Either way, it's all going to be cooked. So I'm going to go ahead, dice up our celery. Now we're going to do our carrots. You can use whole carrots, or you can use carrot sticks. I just happen to have carrot sticks. I use about the equivalent of 2 regular carrots, or if you're in Asia, those massive carrots. I don't know why you guys have those massive carrots. I'm kind of jealous, but nonetheless, here we are chopping them up. Like I said, this is going to be a chunky sauce, so I'm not doing it fine. And also with your celery and your carrots, you can put it in a cheese grater and grate it down. That works just fine too. Especially if you want that finer sauce. All right, now we're going to move on to our garlic here. And the garlic here is going to be pretty simple. Cut it long ways. Makes it delicious, adds good texture to it. And doesn't burn as easily since it's larger pieces. We don't want our garlic to burn. Garlic scorches very easily, especially when you chop it and mince it to finer pieces. Go ahead, get it all chopped up. And of course, if you don't want this much garlic, I am using 8 garlic cloves because in this household we love garlic. 2 garlic cloves is enough. But if you like garlic, go ahead and add that much. All right, here we are. Here is our mirepoix, our sofrito. Let's get it cooking. All right, go ahead, get you a heavy bottom pot. Here I got a Dutch oven. You can also use a stock pot, anything like that. Go ahead and get some olive oil in there. We want to heat it up on a medium heat, not a medium high, medium heat, because we don't want to burn our olive oil. We don't want it to necessarily smoke. We just want to get it warm enough so that we can go ahead and we can cook our sausages. That's right. We're using 5 mild Italian sausages. Go ahead and grab them in the middle and squeeze them out each side of the casings if they happen to be in casings. You can also buy some that is not in casings. I believe that's roughly should be about a pound, a little more than a pound. I didn't weigh it, but there you go. There's usually 5 in a package that you find at the store anyway, so get that. I'll go ahead, take them out the casings. Another trick, you can just take your knife, run it down the edge of the casing, and peel the casing off, and go ahead and throw that in there. And also, meat is optional, not required. It's a very good dish you can use here without the meat if you are vegetarian, or you like to do meatless Mondays, things like that. Whatever your fancy is, meat's optional. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to break that up. And then the little fond scorch marks down at the bottom, that's perfectly fine. All that's going to do is add flavor. So just keep on chopping, smashing, breaking it up. You can use a spatula, you can use a fork, you can use a spoon. The best thing I say, if you have a potato masher or a bean smasher, anything like that, usually works best in this situation. I was using my spatula because like I said, I want my sauce to be chunky, and so potato masher would get you a finer crumble. I don't need that fine of a crumble. And then once you are satisfied with how broken up your meat is, if you're using it, just go ahead, keep stirring it around. We want to get it browned. We're not trying to cook it all the way through, but we definitely at least want to get most of the pink out. And as you see here, the fat inside is going to render down. Some of the water is going to come out. That's perfectly fine. All right, so right about here is what we're looking for to go ahead, and we're going to remove that so we can then proceed to cook our mirepoix sofrito. Using a slotted spoon here because I want to keep all that juice inside the pot, so that way my vegetables can absorb it and get that flavor in there as well. Don't underestimate liquid gold from your meat. Even if it's watery, it has flavor. And spoon the last of that out. Yeah, here we are. Now we're going to lower our heat. We don't want it too hot. We want to just lower the heat, and that way we can gently saute our vegetables. We don't want to burn them. We don't want to scorch them. We just want to get them soft, get them a little bit brown, a little translucent. But especially the onions, you want your onions to be translucent. You don't want to burn our garlic. So that's why we're keeping the heat at a medium low at best. Now this is one of these things that's usually best at low and slow. Let's go ahead and stir everything around, get it nice and sauteed. Everything is going to start smelling fragrant. And if you're already hungry, I'm sorry, grab yourself a snack. This could be a while. All right, now we're going to add salt and pepper to your tastes. If you don't like it salty, don't add as much salt. If you like it really salty, add salt. Pepper, same thing. Your taste, whatever works for you. All right, so go ahead and we're gonna stir that in. I'm gonna saute this. Make sure you scrape down the edges. Make sure you scrape down the edges. Don't leave your celery and onions there sitting on the side of your pot. All right, so while we're waiting for that to cook down, we're gonna go ahead and get our mushrooms prepared. So here we got 6 mushrooms. And what I like to do is like to remove the stems. I'm still gonna use them, but it makes chopping them a little bit easier for how I like to do this. And you just remove the stems and you take the heads, chop it in half one way, like that. And then I'm just gonna cut it like that along the side. I'm gonna do that to each head, get a nice little chunky chop. Not too big, but not too small. Repeat, chop in half and then turn to the side and just cut into pieces. And don't forget to stir your mirepoix, because I don't want it to burn. And scrape down your sides, man. How can you tell people to scrape down your sides, but you forget to scrape your sides? Scrape your sides down. It's really not that big of a deal, but you know, helps for even cooking. All right, so now we're gonna grab the stems of our mushrooms, and simply I'm just gonna chop them like that. I'm not gonna cut them in half or anything. They're already good size. Go ahead, just chop them down, roughly about that size for a chunky sauce. I'm gonna set that aside and stir again, because you don't want anything to burn. Now you see the onions there getting translucent. It should be extremely fragrant at this point. Your garlic is starting to soften. If your carrots are fresh, they should be softening up now, and your celery should be slowly starting to break down. This is what we're looking for. Everything is becoming aromatic, smells good. We're gonna go ahead, add our sauces back in, get those drippings back in there. This flavor, don't lose that flavor. Don't throw that flavor away. Now we're gonna throw in our mushrooms. Throwing in our mushrooms now at this point, because here is where we want to put them in, because we don't want to overcook them. You don't want overcooked mushrooms. They're not that good. So go ahead, give it a good mix, stir it in really well. Everything is smelling good, smelling delicious. Ah, yes. And now if you are going to be using tomato paste, this is the point that you will be throwing tomato paste in as well. If you are going to add wine to your sauce, this is where you do it. Go ahead, throw your wine in, stir it around, wait for the alcohol to evaporate, and then you put your tomato paste in, stir that around so everything's nice and mixed. And here is where we're going to add our canned tomatoes. Can you use fresh tomatoes? Yes, you can, but it's going to take way longer for them to cook down, but it's probably worth it. But I'm not trying to be here for that long. So can of crushed tomatoes, preferably with basil. If you're allergic to basil, then don't get canned tomatoes with basil. So on and so forth. It's perfectly fine if you don't want basil. And then here's a little trick here to get the rest of that tomato goodness out of there. Take some beef broth. Beef broth adds flavor, whereas water dilutes it. But if you don't have beef broth, that's fine, use water. But give it a good shake around. It's already pretty thick. Well, if you do want to loosen it up, dilute down the crushed tomatoes for the consistency of our sauce that we're looking for. And it's perfectly fine. But nonetheless, go ahead and stir it in. Get everything a good mix, nice and coated. And this is what the beginning of the chunky sauce is going to look like. So give it a good stir, scrape down your sides. Scrape down, yeah, there we go. There, hey, you missed some garlic. All right. Anyway, season it, salt and pepper to your taste, to your liking. And now we're also going to go ahead and add our dry herbs. Here we're going to throw in our basil and our oregano and our fennel seeds, about 2 teaspoons of oregano and basil, excuse me, and about a tablespoon of fennel seeds. I like to add fennel seeds. I love the way they taste. I love their flavor. I love their aroma. They add like a nice little bite to it. I like it. Don't have to. None of the herbs are required. Add whatever herbs that you like. You can throw in rosemary, anything that you like. Some hardcore Italians and actual Italians from Italy might, cuss you out, but at the end of the day, it's your sauce. You make your sauce the way you want your sauce to taste like. And this is a good starting point. All right, scrape down our sides finally. And we're gonna go ahead and let that simmer. There we go. And for those of you who joined us earlier, because you have store-bought sauce, here we are. It's boiling. There we go. After that, taste it. Taste your food. Always taste your food for seasoning, especially if you have store-bought sauce. If the sauce from the store already tastes good to the way you like it, you're good. If not, feel free to add stuff in there. Whatever. Just a little bit at a time. Yep, there we go. Go ahead, season it up. If it's necessary, stir it up, and then we're going to cover it. And so now at this point, if you're using store-bought sauce, go ahead and let it simmer for about a good 5 minutes, and then keep it on simmer while you get your pasta ready. And if you're doing homemade pasta, go ahead and let that simmer anywhere from 30 minutes up to 4 hours, all depending on how deep and rich you want it. So we're going to go ahead and get our pasta ready. Here is salt. Always salt your pasta water. Season your pasta water. You want that salt to be absorbed by your pasta to help enhance the flavor of the pasta as well. And speaking of flavor enhancements, the wine and the tomato paste are flavor enhancements to the sauce. Tomato paste does add a deep, rich tomato flavor to your sauce. So if that's something you like, go ahead and add it. If not, then don't have to. It's all entirely up to you. And wine, because why not? It's wine. Wine is delicious. If you like wine, it's actually cooking wine is good. Anyway, go ahead and we're gonna wait for our pasta to come to a boil. And here is the key to cooking pasta. If you don't want your pasta to stick, stir your pasta as it cooks. And then go ahead, add your pasta, and you're going to cook it to the packages, what the package says, except subtract the time by 2 to 3 minutes. But nonetheless, go ahead, throw it in there when your pasta is boiling. Get it back up to a boil. Don't do a super hard boil. Your pasta could spill over depending on the size of your pot. But if you don't want a hard boil because it will cook excessively fast, you want a good, nice, gentle roll. You don't want a hard rolling boil. So anyway, stir your pasta roughly every minute or so. Give it a good stir. Rub your spoon along the bottom. Make sure if anything sticks at the bottom, it unsticks. And of course, you can find the recipe at my website, acookingdude.com. So anyway, we're cooking our pasta to the package's specifications. And then once it's done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to drain it. Rule about draining pasta. You drain it into a colander. Do not, please, do not rinse your pasta off. No. Just no. Because why we want to do that? Because we want that starchiness to stick onto the pasta, because we're going to finish cooking our pasta in our sauce. And by doing that, the sauce is going to stick to your pasta as well as help absorb the sauce into your pasta. So here we go. We had the homemade pasta simmering for a while there. Go ahead and get it one good stir, get everything reorientated. Want to turn the heat back up to a gentle boil. Okay, a little more less gentle. But yeah, we're going to add our pasta back and we're going to stir it up. Get it nice and mixed and covered. We want all that pasta to be covered in sauce because we want that sauce to just get sucked up into our pasta. And so this type of pasta here is the type of pasta that you would use for a chunky sauce like this. If you're using spaghetti, go ahead, you want a finer sauce. All right, finish cooking the last 2 to 3 minutes until it is al dente. Give it a taste, and if everything's good and it's cooked correctly, let's go ahead and plate that up. We are going to plate our pasta. And here we are, pasta. Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great time cooking your food. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Get in the Kitchen. I'm Cooking Dude. Be sure to like, follow, share, subscribe, hit that bell. Hope you guys have a great day. Catch you on the next one.